Alright, so I'm starting on a project I've wanted to do for a long time, but I've looked at a couple videos online and let's just say they weren't up to my standards. Most of them I've seen were just made of wood and there was leaking, or it was super complicated and expensive and it would only last for so long. So what I'm trying to make is a hot tub, and it might sound a little crazy, but the majority of it is going to be made out of wood. And you might think, hey, you just said that all the wood hot tubs you've seen leaked and wouldn't last very long, and you'd be right. Until I came across an old video that was titled How to Waterproof a Plywood Box. And I thought to myself, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. So that video was about fiberglass. So what I'm attempting is to make a fiberglass hot tub. And let's just say it was an incredible learning experience. And would I do it again? Probably. But let's just say that this took a lot more effort than I was expecting. And you might notice that these are just random videos that I've mashed together, because even though I thought it would be cool to make a video on how I built this, I did not know how it was going to turn out. So there might be massive gaps in the progress, but I have some photos and I'll kind of walk you through kind of what I did during the process, and hopefully you'll learn something out of this and maybe make one yourself. So I just finished the platform. Nothing really special about that. I just made a square the size I wanted and then did normal stud spacing, 16 inches on center for the support. And I used some Rust-Oleum paint on the bottom side to hopefully stop it from rotting. To help cut down on costs, I did some dumpster diving at construction sites, and I got a bunch of random 2x4s for the framing, and some of them I cut down for 2x2s for the seating area. The only wood I bought for this project was the plywood, a couple random 2x2s, and the pressure treated wood for the base. The walls I did like 20 inches on center for the studs. I'm using 3/4 plywood for the base and 1/2 inch plywood for everything else. I put more of the Rust-Oleum paint around the base and kind of touched up a couple places that I would never be able to get to after I put all the plywood on. I started this project with just kind of a rough sketch on what I wanted it to look like and a couple basic measurements. So everything is kind of just winging it. So if you're wanting some kind of blueprint, so you could possibly make one yourself, let me know and I can draw up exactly what I did to make this, and you can modify it however you want. If you want to make it bigger, make it smaller, all up to you. My initial design actually was just gonna have a central, like, square for people's feet, but then I realized to cut down on weight, I could just make the seating in a U shape, and you could technically fit more people because more feet room. So that's kind of just me winging it, and so far I'm liking it. So let me just take a moment to talk about material. So as you can tell, most of this material is not weather rated. It's all just standard framing material, other than the base, which is in contact with the ground. That's weather rated, but everything else is not. Now, is that a bad idea? Maybe, but that's where this Rust-Oleum paint comes in. I've used it on multiple projects and I love it. I've actually coated an entire trailer that I made, basically just a plywood box on wheels. I drove it through the rain, giant puddles, and I kept all my stuff dry, so I'm happy with the product. And I think it will work good for this application. Will it last more than 20 years? I don't know, but at least it will give it a fighting chance. You might also be wondering why half-inch plywood isn't 3/4 stronger, and you'd be right. So the reason I'm going with half-inch is because of one of the goals I've had with this project. I'm building it at a house that I do not own. I am renting, so I will have to move it at some point. So my goals with this project was to be under 400 pounds when all constructed, so I'm still able to move it by myself. Now another goal I had was hold less than 400 gallons. I think I might be a tad over that, but that's a lot of water. And if you do the math, it's around 3,000 pounds. Now, spread out between the square footage, it's roughly about 50 pounds per square foot. So I was a little worried about that, but adding the fiberglass will add strength. So I figured half-inch would be good enough. Now, instead of making just a straight plywood box, I decided to make the sides angled, mainly for comfort, but having it angled will also help with the weight of the water pushing against it.
Sitting inside the hot tub. All the corners are angled, and sitting down comes right up to my armpit. I'm like, yeah, I measured right. And then with the way the bottom's shaped, you can easily fit like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, easily 5 people in here, maybe 6 if you really squish. But yeah, so far, fun project.
So at this point, I'm pretty excited. The project is coming together really well. Now it came time to do the fiberglass, and I have never done fiberglass to this extent. I think the most I've done before is like replacing a little piece on my car, which you will definitely see from this video that I am an amateur. I had no idea what I was doing. I watched a couple videos and I'm like, yeah, this will be easy. I'll just cut a couple pieces to size, slap it on there, only use about maybe 2 gallons of resin on this whole project. No, that was completely wrong. I ended up using about 6 gallons of resin, which I probably could have used 7 because I was kind of skimping towards the end, just to not have to buy any more. So after my first day of trying to do fiberglass and failing miserably, I bought a bunch of stuff off Amazon, mixing jug, a little roller, and some other random fiberglass essentials, and just those helped out dramatically. The little roller I got, that was a lifesaver. But also, I bought rubber gloves. Always wear rubber gloves or some kind of protection while using this stuff. It's nasty to get off your hands. And also the little fiberglass shards, it will stab your skin and then you'll feel all itchy. Much to my surprise, the fiberglass actually turned out pretty good. Now I'm not going to teach you how to do the fiberglass. I'll put some videos down in the description that would be a lot better than me trying to explain how to do fiberglass. I probably watched about 6 hours of YouTube videos on the topic, and I would like to say I'm an expert at this time, but no. So the next thing I needed to do was to test to see if it holds water, because the next step would be to gel coat the whole entire project, which is just a top layer of essentially fiberglass resin that's tinted. So it comes either white, black, or there is a couple that are clear. But then you can add in pigments, and we'll talk about that more later when I'm actually doing it. But for right now, I want to see if this thing will hold water and if it's worth me dropping a couple $100 on gel coat. When drilling out my center drain, I was actually kind of surprised on how thick the fiberglass was. It was close to 1/8 of an inch thick. Now the center drain I chose is just a small, like 3/4 bulkhead fitting. This is actually what I'm planning on making the jets out of in the future, but that will probably be a later video. I'm gonna make this like a 3-part series. The next part will be water filtration and kind of the basic filtration plumbing, and then the next video after that will be all the jets, the heating, everything like that. So keep your eye out for that. So right now I'm just putting in the center drain because I am planning on filling it all the way to the top to test for leaks, and I want to be able to drain it after a couple days so it has time to dry out before I gel coat. I completely forgot to take a video or a photo about how I ran the drain, but essentially it's just the center drain adapted to PEX, ran out the side, and then I have a sharp bite cap on the other end. Is this gonna be my permanent drain? I don't know, but I'm planning on keeping water in the hot tub, not outside. Alright, so it's about 2/3 of the way full. So far, no leaks to speak of.
I'm surprised that with all the water, the weight from the water, nothing's bowing, nothing's cracking, like nothing.
I did put a couple boards underneath this since it's not completely perfectly level. As you can see, it's a little bit crooked. I'll need to fix that when I fill it up for the first time. What do we got here? Oh, we got one little tiny leak. Oh shoot. One leak.
Even though there was a leak, I'm not really too concerned about it. I'm just gonna drain it and fix the area of fiberglass and go ahead and gel coat the entire thing.